Warning. Warning. The following video contains mature content not suitable for children or the easily offended. Please keep this in mind when watching. Thank you and please enjoy.
A Plague Tale: Innocence is an extremely atmospheric stealth puzzle game developed by Asobo Studio and published by Focus Home Interactive. You may know Asobo Studio from their work on Fuel and, Disneyland Adventures. So yeah, their last big game was 10 years ago and their latest offering kinda showed up out of nowhere, so it was already starting off with a broken leg. But despite the odds trying to shove this game into a deep dark bargain bin somewhere, it has been met with positive praise that it well and truly deserves. A Plague Tale's simple yet satisfying story coupled with its great setting and style make a game that is equal parts engrossing as it is distressing. So, what the frick is so chilling about A Plague Tale: Innocence? Our story begins in November of 1348 in the Kingdom of France. You play as Amicia de Rune, a young aristocrat lady on a hunting trip with her father Robert and a very good boy Leon, after partaking in the Knight's Trial.
You suck!
Leon eventually tracks down a boar that you begin to hunt down. After a short while, Leon chases the boar further into the forest and you go chasing after them.
She's gonna eat me!
You eventually come to an area covered in dead vegetation and find the boar torn to shreds. You hear Leon whining and find him severely injured when suddenly he
gets rescued and nothing bad happens to him.
You okay there, Alice?
Absolutely fine, just like Leon, because nothing bad happens to him.
Wow, you really got attached to that dog, didn't you?
You're so cruel, Eb.
Right, moving on. You head back to the de Rune residence and find your mother Beatrice. After hearing a commotion outside, Beatrice tells you to find your brother Hugo and stay with him. Hugo has been locked up for most of his life due to a mysterious illness and the siblings have rarely ever seen each other. Looking out the window, you see Robert being detained by soldiers that are interrogating him on Hugo's whereabouts. Lord Nicholas, this Dark Souls looking ass motherfucker,
Censored.
cuts Robert down before soldiers start swarming the castle looking for Hugo. Managing to escape outside, you meet back up with Beatrice and navigate your way through the gardens to get out of the castle. Beatrice tells you to take Hugo to Dr. Laurentius and stays behind to let her children get a head start, and it goes about as well as you'd expect. Sprinting away with Hugo, the ground starts to erupt around you for some unknown reason before the two of you jump into a river, barely escaping with your lives. Washing up on shore, you wander through a town where the residents are holed up in their homes and white crosses are plastered across many of the doors. Some of the more aggressive townsfolk begin hunting you down and you need to escape again. After some time, Hugo runs off on his own and gets attacked by a random thug where Amicia makes her first of very many kills.
No, wait, I didn't want to.
Making your way into the town monastery, you seek aid from a monk who agrees to help you out of the town. However, before you're able to leave, a new threat reveals itself. The rats swiftly devour the monk, leaving you to find the secret exit on your own. After navigating your way through the deadly sea of vermin, you make it outside and begin to find your way to Laurentius' home. That was a lot to cover for the first couple of hours of the game. Obviously there's a lot more that happens as you progress, and the story is full of twists, supernatural turns, and people making horrible life choices. Amicia is a very strong, well-written protagonist you will see grow and make mistakes along the way, making her more realistic. Hugo is adorable and a ray of oblivious sunshine in this otherwise dreadful world. You'll also meet up with a host of supporting characters. Lucas, Laurentius' apprentice who teaches Amicia some alchemy and is the brains of the group, Melly and Arthur, a pair of twin thieves with somewhat kind hearts, and Roderick, a blacksmith's son. He likes to snap necks. There's also the Inquisition and the main antagonist, but I won't talk about them here because that starts dipping a bit too much into spoiler territory. A Plague Tale's gameplay can be broken down into different categories. First one we'll talk about is stealth. A good majority of the game is spent in a crouching position hiding away from your problems. The Inquisition will be around in many areas looking for Hugo, and stealth is your best option for getting past them unscathed, causing distractions by throwing rocks and pots, hiding in tall grass, and taking enemies out both subtly and not so subtly. You'll spend a good while watching patrol routes and weaving between hiding spots in order to safely slip past. Getting spotted is a bad time because Amicia will die in one hit. While you do get an item later on that can be used as a last minute defense, it doesn't help much when you're surrounded. The second playstyle is more along the lines of puzzle solving. The rat swarms will block your path, and these hungry little bastards can make quick work of Amicia's flesh. They are scared of light, however, so your main aim is to light your way through the horde, sometimes dashing from one light source to the next, lighting fire pits along the way, finding torches to keep them at bay, or trapping them behind lamps to clear a path. You may also need to give them a little snack to keep them occupied. Later on, you also get items that can draw them away or clear them out temporarily, but you don't need to worry about them that much. As long as you're in a light source, you'll be fine.
The rats?
Absolutely nothing can get you here.
Rat tornado.
Okay, so sometimes the rats form vortexes that can attack you and destroy lamps, and thanks to Sorry Bro for the nightmare fuel. Where the game really shines is when they combine both styles to really test your skills. Needing to get through an area being patrolled by guards while also not becoming rat food is both thrilling and very dread-inducing. But not all is lost, as you can use the rats to your advantage to clear out the soldiers. Breaking lanterns and extinguishing fires to let the rats attack the guards kills two birds with one stone, removing the guards and also keeping the rats busy for a time. The last and not as prevalent style is combat. Amicia is armed with a sling that can lodge rocks into people's temples. Starting off, you can really only attack guards without helmets, and also the sling makes a lot of noise so it can ruin your stealth if you're not careful. You'll eventually learn alchemical recipes for ammo that can make guards remove their helmets, letting you line up a killing shot. Some sections will require you to fend off enemies, but they are few and far between and also the weakest part of the game. There are also the boss fights, but these play out a lot more like a combat puzzle. The first one is a great example. You fight a very heavily armored foe and you need to dodge his attacks and knock off pieces of his armor to eventually expose his head. But the more pieces you get rid of, the faster he moves, making him much more deadly. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is that you will be escorting Hugo around for about half the game.
Oh good god, that sounds horrible.
How so?
It's an escort mission with a child. What part of that sounds fun to you?
Well, actually, it never really feels like an escort mission.
Go on.
Whenever you grab Hugo's hand, he will be attached to you and move when you do. He won't run off or get in the way of you. You can also get him to stay in a spot to let you clear a path or grab a key item. However, you can't leave him alone for too long, otherwise he will begin to freak out and cause a bit of a ruckus. Hugo is also just a very cute kid and doesn't really get annoying or irritating. You may also occasionally be joined by some of your Scooby gang of traumatized orphans. Lucas doesn't really do much besides teach you new ammo types and occasionally light torches. Melly can pick locks on chests and doors. Arthur will cause distractions for you to sneak past guards, and then there's Roderick. He likes to snap necks. The final aspect I'll talk about is the crafting and gear system. While out adventuring in this hellscape, you'll come across materials you need to craft different ammo and items, as well as upgrade Amicia's sling and abilities. The crafting is pretty basic and easy to grasp, but making sure you have enough of certain ammo types to end up not dead is kind of important. The upgrade system is where you can break the game's difficulty over your kneecaps and make things a whole lot easier, letting you carry more ammo and materials, letting you throw the sleeping tonic, and even making your sling a silent death machine. I didn't actually get that upgrade in my playthrough, but from what I've heard, it makes the stealth laughably easy, so maybe it was for the better. Amicia can become a sharpshooting sniper with that sling, so sometimes it can feel like there's a disconnect between how she acts and how you play as her. So while the upgrade system might be a bit overtuned, the overall gameplay is satisfying and very tense. Working out a way to take out the guards in a populated area is extremely satisfying and can lead to some really awesome moments. This game's visual style is absolutely gorgeous. Graphically, the game strikes a good balance of technically impressive while also being on a budget. Like Hellblade, it's that middle ground between AAA and indie. Environments range from lush forests to morbid battlefields to sweet Jesus fuck.
Censored.
While the game is steeped in historically accurate architecture, there is also a good mix of fantastical and slightly gothic constructs. Character designs are very unique while still fitting the setting very well. Even some of the minor characters are quite memorable, and I have to say that Nicholas looks like a freaking badass. One part that falls flat, however, is the character animation in some of the cutscenes. While it's nothing too terrible, their faces can sometimes be very dead-eyed and they look like they're just spacing out a bit. I wonder what they're thinking about. But the most impressive feat that Asobo accomplished is the rats. These things skitter about everywhere with up to 5,000 on screen at once. It really captures the threat that they pose. The game's lighting is also phenomenal, which makes sense since light is such an integral part of the core mechanics. So the game manages to do both vibrant and full of life, as well as dreary and downright disturbing. The music was composed by Olivier Devier. I'm pretty sure I said that name wrong, I'm sorry. And it's just, it's so good. A hauntingly beautiful score to accompany this game with a heavy emphasis on strings, chimes, and hard-hitting drums. Tracks like Father and By the River utilize a single lute to create a calm, mellow sound during more serene moments, while adulthood hits you hard with rattling chains and stomping. Sacrifice creeps up slowly with its somber and simple tone, while The Killing has this almost deranged and off-kilter sound and is very good at making me panic. And of course, the rats. This song is perfect. The strings make you feel like the vermin are all around you and inside your head. Absolutely unnerving, but also brilliant. The voice acting is surprisingly decent. As far as I'm aware, majority of the characters are voiced by French actors, so the accents are very accurate. The child actors also do an exceptional job, with Amicia and Roderick being the standouts for me. Their banter and chemistry is really solid, and it shows how strong their friendship is. Hugo is also just the sweetest. Even when he's being difficult and meant to be that little bit annoying, it's never so far that you get irritated with him. Sound effects are also very well done, from the clanking of the guard's armor to the crackling of flames. Whenever you're near enemies while sneaking, Amicia's breathing quickens, and you can also hear her heartbeat, and no matter how many times I heard it, it always made me anxious. Absolutely stellar job by the sound department.
Hey Eb, I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What is your take on the rats in the game in terms of themes and such?
Where the heck did this come from?
I was bored, and also you wanted to do an extra section for this video, so I thought I would ask you a question and you can give an answer.
Okay, I see where you're taking this. Alright, well, without going to too much story spoilers, the rats are basically a physical representation of the bubonic plague. A quick history lesson for the kids. The bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, was an epidemic that spread across Asia and Europe in the 1300s and over 5 years, killed an estimated 50 million people, and was believed to be spread by fleas that carried the disease from, you guessed it, rats. Now, making a game based on an illness that gave people icky black boils doesn't sound like the most enthralling gameplay. So instead, we now have swarms of rats washing over cities, decimating them and killing people in horrible ways. One interesting thing to look at as well is how this concept of the endemic is used as more of a backdrop and world building tool instead of being a focal point for the main cast. You aren't trying to find a way to stop the rats, and you aren't trying to find a cure for the plague. You are trying to survive and to protect your family and friends while in this terrible situation. A good way to look at it is that Amicia and Hugo's story is just one of many that could be taken from this setting. They're just children trying to survive as their world crumbles before them. A Plague Tale: Innocence is a breathtakingly beautiful game with an emotional soundtrack and satisfying gameplay. While it can be a bit on the easy side and character faces can be about as emotive as a lamppost, it's definitely worth your time and money. An intriguing and eerie story that unfolds over a 10-hour experience. I honestly couldn't recommend it enough. The game is available on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope you have a beautiful day.